Is XDefiant dying? Is XDefiant shutting down? Will the game lose support? Let's go over all of this, hopefully for the last time. Hey guys, Nightfall here, and there's been constant buzz around the hot topic that XDefiant's imminent death right after Season 3 is looming just around the corner. Let's start out with some of the stuff leading up to why people believe this is going to happen in the first place. In Season 1, and hell, even pre-Season 1, there was a lot of annoying bugs and issues going on. There still is. This caused some players to leave entirely, and others decided to make Smurf accounts or alt accounts and just keep playing that way. Fast forward a few weeks, a couple months even, came the first Tom Henderson article basically stating that the game was going to lose support after Season 3 if the player count didn't drastically increase. Then in a desperate attempt to get player count up, they started giving out end of season login rewards, which were pretty good, and it seemed like it accomplished exactly what they wanted. However, more news has been circulating the past few weeks, including a new Tom Henderson article which covered a trading call update in which the CEO of Ubisoft confirmed that XDefiant had fallen behind expectations. Well, let's start right here. If you needed an article to see that XDefiant fell behind expectations, then you probably aren't playing the game. You can clearly see the time it takes to fix certain things being longer than it should, and other bugs still present since the launch of the game. We all know things have fallen behind, but I personally think that the root cause of it falling behind isn't due to the game being bad. It's more or less due to Ubisoft's struggles as a whole, not the game itself. They aren't getting the resources they need in order to keep this game running smoothly. Now, before I continue, I want to address one thing. Take any article that you read on the internet with a grain of salt. There's two main reasons why I discredit most of these articles from this author. Number one, most of the time, the sources are always anonymous, and there's never even any proof to go along with what is being claimed to back it up. At least when I get anonymous tips, I post screenshots but just blur out the source. Granted, you can't always do that, but this seems to be a recurring theme where this author just says something and then never backs it up and claims the source is anonymous. The second reason is because most of these articles look like they were AI generated. Some of you may pick at me for this next point, but coming from a slight deviation down a journalism career path that included being the editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper, huge accomplishment, I know, but hear me out. The length of these articles being put out aren't that long. They take at most 5 minutes to read, even if you're a slow reader. And yet, things like this slip through. Let me read this section word for word. Subsequent community conversations led to XDefiant saying that the game is absolutely not dying. In a recent blog post, blah 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 blah. Am I nitpicking? Maybe. But someone or multiple people failed here. I have no clue how the publishing process for this website works, or if they even have one, or if they even have an editor at all. But where it says the game, that is clearly a grammatical mistake and should have been caught. Like I said, call me a nerd all you want, but if you're posting a professional article to a reputable website, mistakes like that should be caught in the editorial process. So that's why I don't necessarily trust this source as reputable. All that aside, let's talk about some options should all of this be true in the first place. Let's state the obvious. Ubisoft does not have a track record of shutting down games. They have long-standing games still running today. Rainbow Six Siege, For Honor, The Crew, and more. So stop letting people go around saying, oh, typical Ubisoft fashion, they're just gonna pull the plug on it. Why? Because their most recent Star Wars game flopped? I highly doubt it. But now let's look at some options should Ubisoft need to sell out or go private. There have been rumors that Microsoft has placed a bid to purchase Ubisoft, and that's going to cause some waves in the gaming industry. If you follow gaming news at all, you know a couple years back Microsoft also acquired Activision/Blizzard. So the first weird thing here is that Black Ops 6 is coming out in like 3 weeks, and it's arguably a direct competitor to XDefiant. Not to say that there isn't direct competition with other games owned by the same company, but it would just be weird to see. After everyone picked sides and talked so much trash about one or the other, it would just be strange. But I think the bigger issue here is that in that Activision purchase, Microsoft had to give all of the cloud gaming rights for Activision titles, past, present, and future, up to the next 15 years to Ubisoft. So if Microsoft then acquires Ubisoft, what happens next? There's not necessarily a law stating that they can't do this, but that whole side deal was so that others would approve the deal so that Microsoft didn't become a monopoly in the cloud gaming space. But maybe this was Microsoft's plan the whole time, or maybe they'll have to work out a new deal and push those cloud gaming rights to somebody else should they acquire Ubisoft. Either way, Microsoft getting involved makes things a sticky situation, but it's definitely not impossible. And actually, a Microsoft acquisition of Ubisoft might not be such a bad idea. They could provide so much more in the form of support, resources, servers. That's a big one. We need stable servers, and so much more. So don't think that Ubisoft going bankrupt and XDefiant dying are linked results. XDefiant is dying probably because Ubisoft is struggling financially. Again, you don't need an article to tell you that. You can see the decline in their stock price over the last few years. They've made questionable decisions like putting out ranked rewards and putting out battle pass rewards and putting stuff in the store that weren't all that great. They've done some shady stuff like put something in the store and then put something on a Twitch drop and called it exclusive when it really wasn't. They've let a lot of things pass in previous patches where they said they fixed something and they didn't. They've let a lot of attachments go through unchecked, and we've found numerous issues with a lot of these attachments. So Microsoft taking over and having their hand in this might not be such a bad thing. It might actually end up saving the game. So whether it be Microsoft or someone else, someone buying out Ubisoft doesn't spell out the end of all the games that they have. It may actually revive games like XDefiant. So even if rumors of them selling to another company is true, stop thinking that's a bad thing, because it's quite the opposite. Anyway, that's all I have to say on this topic. XDefiant is not necessarily dying. It's more of a temporary bump in the road. But if you enjoy this type of XDefiant news and content, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the whole XDefiant's dying thing. Make sure to follow me over on Twitter and even join our Discord if you have a Discord. Links for both of those will be in the description. And if you want to talk about it, I'll be live on Twitch and also right here on YouTube today at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So feel free to stop by, and if I don't catch you while I'm live, then I'll see you in the next upload.